Well, Mike Massimino, welcome to the Forum for the Future of Agriculture, now in its 17th year. Mike, of course, you're a former NASA astronaut. You have done 4 spacewalks and the first astronaut to tweet from space.
Yes.
That's one of the smallest and most insignificant of facts,
Yeah.
but kind of fun. And you've just given an inspirational talk to open up the Forum. I hear, by all accounts, it very much lived up to its name.
Oh,
and it was
good.
really
It's good to know.
uplifting. We
Thank
do
you.
have an exclusive that you're not about to run for president, though. I did get that.
Yeah, no, I'll take that as a compliment, the inquiry, but yeah, I don't have any plan to do that at all.
So the theme of the forum this year is exploring new frontiers. I think an expression coined by Kennedy, so we're still on American politics at the moment, but for the agri-food system.
Yeah.
And I wonder, how important was it for you to share some of your experiences, not just of space, but of leadership, of collaboration and adversity? How important was it to share some of those ideas at the forum this morning?
It's really my pleasure and very gratifying that some of the lessons I learned at NASA I'm able to share with others, and hopefully they're helpful. It was an extraordinary experience to fly in space and view the planet and get to do what I got to do. But I think some of the more, I don't know if meaningful meaningful is the right word, experiences were just the teamwork and the collaboration we had and getting the job done and all. That's what I really miss. I mean, I miss the flying in space and getting to do those very exciting things, but I also miss the collaboration we had and the teamwork we had and the camaraderie we had, not only amongst the Americans, but amongst all of our international team. And it was really no difference between whether you're an American or a European or wherever you were from. We were all on the same team, and it built friendships that were so life-lasting. I still have many good friends, of course.
And you had a very human message actually through all of this. You know, the idea even from 3 rejections over about 7 years, and overcoming medical disqualification.
Yeah.
You know, right the way through to, and I know in your book Moonshots, the idea of looking at impossible almost being just a word. That actually focusing on the mission that gets things solved. This is an optimistic message to deliver to the forum when we look at agriculture sustainability, producing more with less, and doing it in a way that conserves the planet and feeds a growing population. These are not easy issues.
No, they're near impossible, I would say. If you look, there was again another piece of advice I got from one of this Alan Bean, who I mentioned, who was the 4th of the 12 people to walk on the moon. He said that. He was speaking to our entire astronaut class. We were new astronauts, and he came to give us advice to us. And this is one thing that he shared was that when they were told that they would be going to the moon, what they were going to do on their mission, they thought this is impossible. It can't be done. And what he found was you get a diverse group of thinkers who have the same passion and goal in mind, and you start thinking about it and exchanging ideas. And there's no bad ideas. You start just discussing it, and then you find out that it's not impossible. It's just really, really hard. And he also made the prediction that for all of us, there was going to be some point in our career where we were going to be faced with something that we were going to be asked to do that we said, no, that's impossible. And the way you solve it is you get a diverse group of thinkers together and you exchange ideas and you realize it's not impossible, it's just really hard. And that happened to me, in particular for my second space flight on some of the things we were trying to do to repair the Hubble. We had never repaired it. We usually took something out and put something new in to replace it. But we were asked to take an instrument apart, and we thought that was impossible. And we started talking about it and invented over 100 new tools and big team effort, and we got the job done. But at first, when you first given that idea, the word impossible, you think, well, it's impossible, but not really. You just have to just think about it and see what you can do to get around it.
And I mean, as you say, you had one of those missions to repair the Hubble telescope. And we talk about diversity in its widest context, and I think you have too, in the sense that diversity can be the route to solutions, the route to some of the aspects of security that we talk about at this forum.
Yeah, no, I do think so. It's if everyone thinks the same way, as I mentioned in I think it was the Q&A, if everyone thinks the same way, you're never going to solve the major problems we need to solve. And sometimes
you can get somebody's kid's toy.
You never know. That toy is a great idea. And we had been doing that space. It had been done twice in space that same way, a certain way, and then I had trained to do it, and it wasn't perfect, but all right, we have other things to worry about, and then someone comes in with this idea, and we were like, that's a pretty good idea. Let's give that a try.
One of the other things we talk about here is resilience, and I think that you very much embody the sense of of that. What does it mean to you, the word resilience?
I think it's just understanding that you're going to have setbacks and that that's okay. One of the things that I often talk about is how to deal with disappointment. I didn't talk about that today, but I'll share with you, is that I would make mistakes. Before I was an astronaut, I would make a mistake, and sometimes I would get down on myself and be upset for sometimes a week even. Oh man, how could I have made that mistake? What did I do? I failed this. This is terrible. But you don't have that amount of time when you're in space. You have to get back up and keep going because your team needs you. So there's a couple things I learned. One was, when you make a mistake or things don't go well, you get a disappointment, it's okay to be disappointed, but don't wallow in the misery for too long. 30 seconds. It's called the 30-second rule. You give yourself 30 seconds of regret, beat yourself up for 30 seconds. You're the worst astronaut ever, Mike. How could you have done that? Terrible. Blah, blah, blah. And cap it at 30 seconds. And at the end of that 30 seconds is, you know what? I've learned from it. That's never happening again. And now you leave it in the past and you move on. So no matter how bad you messed up, 30 seconds of regret and move on. And the other thing I realize when you make a mistake or you do something you didn't mean to, or whatever happens, you get disappointed when something happens. You think, oh, this is a terrible situation. This is horrible. No matter how bad the situation is, you have to remember, you can make it worse. If one bad thing happens, oh, this is terrible. How am I going to come? Just don't make it worse. Let's try to overcome that obstacle without creating another problem. Let's not make it worse and take one problem at a time.
And you told the forum that you can control your efforts, so you can control the way you frame it.
Right,
I mean, I know the ISAR Aerospace, the test rocket that went down a couple of days ago in Norway. They said great success, useful data, and a flight termination check. That's a great way to reframe stuff.
You can always learn from something, and it doesn't always go the way you plan. But especially in rocket travel, things happen. As long as you don't hurt anybody, that's what you want to try to avoid here.
You're an advocate of innovation, I'm sure. Because some people say it's quite difficult to be science-based, and I know you have a science background, and be optimistic, particularly when we look at the climate change, the sense of biodiversity loss, and the impacts it has on our home planet Earth. And you talk so eloquently about that.
But I am concerned. I think we all need to be concerned, but I also think we have to understand we can do something about it, and try to understand what that problem is, and do what we can to make it better. And I think we are taking steps. I think you have to be optimistic, but you also have to understand that it's not good. There's some real problems we have, but I think we can. We've landed people on the moon. We've done other things. We can do this. We can solve this.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for such an inspirational talk, because, of course, you did talk about the common goal of conserving planet Earth. You said it was a heavenly view,
it is,
and that
beautiful.
That's home. That's it. That's home. So we have to look after it.
That's it. Thank you. Yes, you're right. You said it better than I could.
I'm only repeating your words, Mike.
Yes,
thank you so much.
You,
Enjoy the rest of the forum.
Thank
Great
you for
to
having
see
me.
you.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.